Okay, our question, how many atoms are there in 3.65 grams of sulfur? That is the question. There is one number in the question. So let's go ahead and write that down. We have 3.65 grams of sulfur. And I'm going to write question mark atoms of sulfur is what we are looking for. But again, we're given just one number. I'm sorry, let me go ahead and move this over so you can see it. We are given just that one number. There is a little bit of a hint up here to help figure out the process. You will not always be given this kind of a hint in questions. So the idea is you want to be able to come up with the process we're showing here. And if it's helpful to look at that as we do this first example, feel free to do so. But remember, you're not always given that information. And the information given in this particular problem will not apply to every single problem. So how we want to think about this is we want to think about what information do we know that is not written down that would apply to this problem. And so one piece of information is we see the word atoms. When we see the word atoms, we should always think of Avogadro's number. So let's go ahead and write that down. So 1 mole of sulfur is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd sulfur atoms. Okay. And then the other piece of information that will be useful, specifically sulfur. So what we do there is we look at a periodic table. So we see 1 mole of sulfur is equal to 32.06 grams. So go ahead and make sure you can find this number on the periodic table. And then let's see if that's enough information to solve the question. And remember here, so part of this is figuring out how to write these equalities. So which equalities do matter for this question, and then writing them out, and then hopefully that's enough information. So if you're stuck on a problem, I would recommend starting by doing something like that. So let's start with the 3.65 grams of sulfur. And then we look for, do we have an equality with units of grams? And we see grams right here. So let's go ahead and use that. So we have 1 mole of sulfur on the top and 32.06 grams on the bottom. And then we say, okay, now we have moles. Do we have an equality with moles? And we do. And is that equality giving us what we want? We want atoms. That would help us get to atoms. So we put Avogadro's number on the top. And then we put the 1 mole of sulfur on the bottom. Okay, so we've set up our problem. Let's see if the units cancel. So we have grams of sulfur cancel, moles of sulfur cancel, and we're left with units of atoms. Those are the units we want. So then on our calculator, we multiply across the top. So 3.65 times Avogadro's number, and then divide by 32.06. Does this number make sense? We have a mass that we could weigh on a balance in the lab, and we have a number close to Avogadro's number. That seems about right. It's a bit less than Avogadro's number. We have less than a mole. So we're probably in the right ballpark here. So we can be comfortable with that being the correct answer. One other thing I want to just mention about this question, as you're doing this, remember, you have to decide which things are important. Right now, we've only got a few things to consider. As we keep adding to this, we'll get more and more things that could matter, and the mole is often going to be in the center of everything we do. Okay, so if you are trying to set up a problem and you're not sure what to do, it is often correct to figure out how do I convert to moles from what I have, and then maybe reevaluate at that point to figure out how to get to whatever you need to do next.